What's up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Bullets, Barbells, and Barbecue.
Look at my arm.
I'm your host, Brett. Kirsten and I here. I got one arm Matt and Tanner the head.
I mean, I technically have two arms.
The other one's pretty unusable.
No.
You can't do anything with it.
I can do this.
I can still really move them fingers.
Yeah.
Tickle your ball sack.
We have our show partners, Elite Nutrition. Check them out at elitenutritionomaha.com. Use code B3 at checkout for 10% off, or go to the store in Omaha or Lincoln and yell B3.
Get a free shaker.
There's also those free rides in the Cybertruck with minimal purchase.
Buy a bar, get a ride.
Steve will give all kinds of rides. Doesn't matter.
Is that your next t-shirt?
We also have Rosewood Block. They make the best cutting boards and barbecue. Check them out at rosewoodblock.com. Use code B3 at checkout there as well.
Cleaning my rosewood block is really hard right now
Because you only have one hand.
because I only have one hand. Like this shoulder,
And it's so
pumped
massive.
all day long. So I'm just picking stuff like moving all these gas cans for the generator. One arm up over the tailbit. Like this right arm's gonna be yoked.
It's like on Family Guy when Quagmire found internet porn.
That
And just
forearm is
they didn't see him for days, and the one arm just super jacked. Might want to talk about injury recovery, nutrition.
Yeah. Something I was just pondering and rolling around. Not that I have I don't have any real diet goals or anything right now other than to just not drink my life away because I can't do anything. Which
How's
I
your
do
how's your
super
weight
good.
right now?
I was 312 this morning.
What were you 75 for?
308.
Oh, so only 4 pounds.
Yeah. So I tend to kind of go anywhere from down to 309, 310 up to
400.
I would love to. If it wasn't, you know what? If it wasn't so fucking hot, I would just sit at home and eat pizza. But it's too fucking hot. So I tend to go essentially between 310 and 315 right now. Is just kind of where I bounce up and down. But also not doing much. But yeah. So anyways, I was just pondering wall recovery. People are generally in some kind of either say that they're trying to bulk or they're trying to cut down or maintain, but there's generally some goal in mind. And when injury happens, activity goes down, stuff changes, dynamic changes. Does the diet change? If you're looking to cut, if I'm in a cutting phase, right, I'm trying to shrink down, but I get injured, should my diet change or should you stay on track with diet?
Because do you need more calories for the recovery?
I think,
Not a lot of calories, but obviously do you need more calories for the recovery?
I think if you're around the spot you want to be in, if you're happy, you might have been trying to cut or trying to bulk, but an injury is obviously going to stop that.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have less calorie burn.
Do you think on the cut though necessarily? Because you could still do with him, he has one arm. He can still do quite a bit of training. Do you know what I mean? He can still squat. He can still
he can't squat.
Yeah, he can. We have a safety squat bar
Next week I can.
or belt squat. You
Yeah,
could
so
do it.
I'll have free reign to do most things. The thing that concerns me with doing some of that stuff, like a squat, is that even if I'm telling my left arm to hey, be relaxed and don't tense, there's a chance that I'm gonna
But you can leg press.
Yeah, you could leg press. You can half
Yeah.
squat. You can do one arm shoulder press. You can do a lot of stuff on.
So does it have to change? I guess that would be the other question. Does it actually have to change your training goals?
I don't know. So I'll tell you what my initial thought was, that you should prioritize recovery over whatever your.
My thought was to go back to at least maintenance.
Yeah.
If you're eating a calorie surplus as you want to put on size, I don't think I would at that point in time, because I don't think you can control it the same way.
Yeah.
And then mentally, I think we're going to eat shitty foods because typically, what the funniest part is whenever someone's injured,
Emotion, eat the shit out of those
their
emotions.
emotion, that's the time they should really watch their diet.
Right.
Watch their calories. And they're fuck it, I'm done.
100%. Yeah.
Pizzas,
My
burgers,
emotions
fries.
taste they taste like pizza and cheese sticks.
Yeah.
It's
like when I joke around that alcohol leads to burritos. Injury leads to just shitty food. It just
100%.
does. But I think what I would do is just get around maintenance.
Yeah.
Most of the time you know what your maintenance calories are. I would definitely push protein.
Yeah.
Definitely push protein
for the healing factor.
for the healing factor. Plus, protein fills you up faster, right? So you're going to be more satiated. You're not going to have as many cravings, even if you're overeating protein. It's the least damaging of all macronutrient. It's the most useful. They just had some, there are studies that come out, but that window of that amount of protein that we can eat and be usable changes a lot.
Well,
Right.
I feel like everything
30,
changes.
Sometimes it's 80, but
Well-
I've generally heard like 40 to 50 would be kind of like the high end.
So I hate number 30. I hate it when people say 30, right? Okay, so I weigh 240. Okay.
Right. So I have to eat 12 times a day.
So if if a woman who weighs 110, does she 32? How about a guy that weighs 180? Is he 32?
Yeah.
Like, it makes no fucking sense. Right? So 30's just a number someone threw out there. I know that number, depending on your size, can be easily 60. Easily 60. I think in certain times, like post-workout, I'm not sure there's a limit. Right? And you can eat what's safe? I think 2 times body weight, 2 times 8 grams per body weight is like, you're completely safe. Like, there's no damage. So I could eat 500 grams of protein a day.
Yeah.
I'm never going to.
Sure.
That's a lot. But I think I would up protein, and then I would up things that have collagen. I would do bone broth, the type 2 collagens.
Now, whatever happened to the old myth of collagen is like a soy protein almost? You know what I mean? Where it's like, it's not as effective. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Collagen,
because collagen had a bad rap for a little while there.
Yep. So collagen isn't whey, right? It's a specific type of protein. But type 1 and type 3 really work on your hair, skin, and nails. That's why a lot of women take them. And type 2 is connective tissue. So I think but like bone broth, if you actually take a chicken like carcass and boil it down, if you actually take bones and boil it down and get a real bone broth, I don't know how effective the bone broth is that you get like in a container from the store. I don't know at what level that is. But we quit making collagen in the early 30s. Like we quit producing our own. Past diets have been heavy in collagen because it's in skin, it's in fat, it's in gristle, it's in cartilage. Like, it's in all the stuff that we used to eat, but now you just eat boneless, skinless chicken breast for every meal.
But now, would you say if you eat like a higher fat diet, like if you eat like when we talk about barbecue stuff, like the Wagyu beef and stuff like that, or is the beef fat not as good as the chicken fat for collagen?
I think the beef fats, most collagen comes from grass-fed bovine. That's what you're looking for.
So if you're eating like a higher fat diet, you should have healthier ligaments and
Probably.
skin and.
No.
So if you want to be beautiful, eat Wagyu.
Yeah. But you just have to balance out your calories so you don't get fat.
Just Wagyu, that's it. That's all you need, Wagyu beef. You get the protein and the fat. Yeah. It's a little costly, but beauty isn't forever.
But don't you,
Jennifer Aniston?
Yeah, some people age way better than others. Yeah,
Magic.
it is. Like Asians age really well.
Dude.
It's impossible to tell if they're like
black
20
people.
or 60.
Black don't crack.
Black don't crack, dude.
Black don't crack, yeah. Just us white people just getting all old and crusty.
Us and the Indians, man. But I think that's the sun exposure for them.
the natives,
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
Indians.
Yeah, the natives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just genetic sun exposure. They're outdoorsy people way more than a lot of us white folk are.
Well, you hate the outdoors.
Yeah.
You hate everything outside.
Look at my skin. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not lie.
But wouldn't you agree that it wouldn't be, I don't think injury is a time to cut or bulk. Or injury is a time for maintenance.
I agree. And yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking is like, if you continue to cut, like maybe you could sustain a slight deficit, but is any weight loss that you get is going to have there has to be an offset, because if you don't have enough to like maintain what you have, you probably don't have enough calorie and energy to repair effectively what's there. And so is whatever weight loss you have going to be worth it, knowing that it's either going to lead to longer recovery or not complete recovery.
Well, yeah, and our body sends signals, right? Like weightlifting is a signal for muscle protein synthesis, right? So we know we're going to damage ourselves while weightlifting. So it sends a signal to increase your muscle protein synthesis. But if we're not taking enough protein, like you may not repair the damage that you had.
Yeah.
And if you do repair the damage, you may not have enough left over to build.
Yeah.
Inflammation is also a signal, right? So like people who take inflammation is a good thing to a point. Like it sends a signal for repair.
Right.
Just like a fever. A fever is a good thing to a point because you're heating your body up to kill whatever's in it.
Right.
But I think we manipulate. Like I was just talking with someone yesterday. He's been on like basically a ibuprofen type painkiller for 2 years. And we were going through, his like he's just having some hard time putting on muscle. And I'm like, and I didn't know he was on it. I'm like, what? Like, what else are you taking? Like, what is happening? I was like, why don't we quit taking that? Because like if you Google it, like ibuprofen killed my gains, like it's a thing because it's muting any kind of inflammation. So it's muting the signal. And we need some inflammation.
Right. You need acute inflammation, not chronic inflammation.
Right. But if you're muting, and I was like, do you even know if you have pain anymore?
Well, I take this and I don't have pain.
Right. And so you don't even know if you have it. Like people ask me, it's like when I do my leg stuff now, I have no knee sleeves on because my knees are shit. Right. I know they're shit. But they're like, why? I'm like, I want to feel the pain because I want to know if it's getting, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hide something because I was doing like a bunch of leg stuff with knee sleeves on and yeah, it felt great. And then I could barely walk because it was like muting. Like I need to know what's happening.
Yeah.
I think on like a broad spectrum of the nutrition while recovery, I think you have to know honestly what kind of person you are. Like if you're going to stay on track with your bulk / cut and you're going to, and you can train like in Matt's scenario, especially with just a bicep, you can still do a lot of stuff and you can train the right arm and get a sympathetic response out of the left arm. So if you're going to stick to your training protocols, but you're going to have to adapt and you're in a gym that has, a lot of the like unilateral equipment where you can do a single arm, whether it's dumbbells or like a hammer strength machine. And I think if you're going to stick to your personality, knows you can do this, then I think your diet, you can still run the same, but like maybe like you said, add some extra protein. I don't know what the gram is for that as far as helping with the healing process. But also if you know that you're like not good at keeping to this, like I would get into like a maintenance, like you said.
Yeah.
Because I think remember the kid here when he broke his ankle years back and he would like single leg deadlift and and he kept training all the way through and he got a good sympathetic response to it, but he knew he was going to stay with it. So I think part of that is knowing your personality and your mentality of what you're actually going to do, being honest with yourself.
Yeah, I get so
because like I think if you got hurt, I think that you could still train and still eat. You know what I mean? Even if you were trying to gain some muscle or gain some size, you know what I mean? I think that you would still do it. So you're still going to train hard.
I know for me, what I would have to do is I would have to really start tracking calories because I would tend to undereat because I would be worried. I would be worried about overeating. So
yeah,
that's what I would be worried about. Like, okay, I'm not getting as much movement as I think I would tend to underdo it.
But you wouldn't actually have to do less movement.
No, in my head, I just know my personality, and
like
I would think,
knowing your personality, I think. But if like if you're like, take it to the extreme, if you're like a world class bodybuilder, you know exactly what you're doing. You're probably not going to adapt. You said like you might bring in some stuff for healing, possibly some drugs for healing.
100%.
But if you're like, especially if you're new to training or you're new to trying to lose weight or whatever, like. You need to definitely adapt that because you're probably not going to work as hard as you normally would.
Your personality plays a huge part in it.
And training in general, and then add injury on top of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson, tore all his CLs, pretty sure. Just shredded that knee like at the end of a season. And then, so that would have been like December. And then the next season starts at the end of August, September. And he ran for over 2,000 yards that next season. So he didn't have a year. He didn't even have a year of healing yet. So you can definitely do it. I think your personality does play a part. For the most part, my belief that people should probably try and wander towards maintenance. Like if you were bulking, I would bring it down just a little bit, and if you're cutting, I would bring it up just a little bit, so we don't inhibit any kind of healing, and maybe we don't get fat. I really hate bulking. I just kind of hate the word bulking because people well, it's like, I'm going to put on all this size and then I'm going to turn into muscle. It's like, that's like turning silver into gold. They're two different things. Fat does not turn into muscle.
I'm going to clean bulk. I'm a dirty bulk.
Yeah. How about you just move your calories up a little bit and put on muscle? Like, you can get bigger and don't have to get fat.
Shut your mouth. No.
But I was like, you don't have to necessarily get fat, but I think you're going to put on some body fat.
You'll have to put on something.
A lot of times, naturally, if you're a natural lifter, especially.
True, but if you put on 5 pounds,
yeah, you don't need to be like I gained like
4 to 1.
Well, yeah, you don't need to be like I gained like 40 pounds and you're like fat as shit. You're like, but dude, 10 of it's muscle.
Yeah,
Like
I'm gonna put on 40 and then lose 30. Like,
well, but people do that all the time, and it drives me fucking crazy. It's like you do not have to do that. You just create it. But in our brains, once again, for a lot of people's personalities, like they have to do extremes, right? They have to be extreme one way and they can extreme the other way. People don't like moderation. I mean, watch the internet. Like the most popular things are extremes. That's what people gravitate towards. So,
yeah. I think,
but you can put on 5 pounds. And 4 can be lean mass, and 1 can be fat, and you're at a really good ratio.
well, yeah, I was gonna say if you're like a 1 1/4, you know what I mean? Like if you gain a pound of muscle and a 1/4 pound of fat, you're probably like not that far off,
Right.
on a regular.
That's like 4 to 1.
especially for a natural drug-free lifter.
Losers.
Now, if you're not
Eye rolling over here.
you should. You should be able to figure that out though. If you're an enhanced lifter.
Yep.
yeah, it changed a little bit, but I will say, we talked about it a little bit last week. I've used BPC 157 pretty regularly for stuff that's happened. Not like as
Which is a peptide.
yeah, so that's a peptide,
Which is not illegal to purchase
not illegal to purchase. Just don't tell anyone that you're using it.
because it's not for human use.
Yeah.
Wink.
But so BPC 157 is a peptide, TB 500 is a peptide, and I'm using both of those on this bicep.
So BBC 157 is more localized,
Yes.
and TB 500 is more systemic.
Yes.
But you inject them site injection, and you rotate around.
The one
right?
is, one isn't it?
So yeah, BP 157 is
You can get a mix
is
now.
inject. You can get a mix, and if you have the mix, I would imagine you would inject site specific
Yeah.
because BPC works best when it's site specific. TB 500, if you have separate, you just do sub-Q, like subcutaneous, just in the fat layer.
somewhere, yeah.
And then it just kind of goes around. The thing that I'm doing now, so when I was BPC I've used before, I have a pretty good dosage for that, right? It's either, what I've been told and used is you either do 500 micrograms once a day, site specific, or 250 to 300
So
site specific
there
twice.
is a chart that will tell you how much to use per your weight.
Where is this chart at?
I think it's on biotechpeptides.com.
Is it on legalsteroids.com?
Okay, I'll have to check that one because
By the way, steroids, they changed to anabolics.com, I think.
Yeah, the legalsteroids.com used to be in like muscular development. It's
Yeah.
like, you can buy this on legalsteroids.com. And I was like, that's not right. That's a scam.
But there was, Jose Canseco has a site. I think it was steroid or steroids.com, and it's changed to anabolic.com. I think it'll like just change you over. But if you're ever looking for information on steroids, it is the best. And they're not trying to sell you anything. It's like, okay.
Actually, I think I've seen that site before. Yeah, you can like research anything you want to know.
It just has everything on there, and they don't give you any no bullshit. Like, here are your side effects. Here's the dosing. Here's what people have had. Here's what people say their bad things. But
It's a real
gives you
shocker
all the
that,
information.
It's a real shocker that Jose Canseco was
I'm
part of it.
pretty sure it was he started the
Good.
site.
I mean, but we need more of that stuff. Like even just trying to find stuff on BPC 157 and like TB 500 was probably the one of the more challenging ones because I saw recommended dosages, weight and non-weight based from 2 milligrams a week upwards of like 8 milligrams a week, which 8 milligrams a week seems a lot. The most I've heard of is someone doing 5. So between 2 to 5 is what like the most common one that I found out there. And for TB, it was either you can do daily. It was a mix between like a daily injection or doing like half and half. So you do every 3 days some kind of bigger bolus. Since I don't have use it when
So you're doing it daily.
So I'm doing it daily. I do it on the same cycle as the BPC.
So, like when I have done it 3 times a day.
Okay, the TB.
Both.
Okay, so I'm doing 300 twice a day for both of them. The BPC is site specific, and pretty much I just kind of rotate around the injection site. If there's a spot that kind of a little bothersome, I go there. Although I do have a nerve that runs pretty close to the surface.
Feels pretty good.
Found that several times. And
You should probably stay maybe more.
the other day I was like, all right, and I went in and I was like, okay, I'm away from it, and then went in just a little bit further as I was injecting and just blasted right into it. Not recommended because your arm just kind of like goes like this.
We're also going to tell you that we are not doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I'm doing.
So just for people who don't know what peptides are, so they are short chain amino acids. They are, in most cases, very safe. You can look, do your research on that, but in most cases, very safe. You can get them at a pharmacy. Compounding pharmacies can make them. They are not illegal. However, because big pharma are such fucking assholes and so crooked, what they have done is they have moved all of those peptides to dangerous on the prescription list.
Yep.
Now, they moved them to dangerous because they didn't want to ban them because Merck has like 2,000 of them in testing right now. Okay? So they're testing and they're going to prescribe them, but they don't want, but your doctor will not prescribe you something that's on a dangerous list because if something negative happens, they're now liable because it was dangerous.
Yeah.
Do you think that's like taking a horse dewormer for COVID?
Yeah. Like
Weird.
But like,
for any of you who think that pharmaceutical companies have your best interest in mind, you are fucking sadly mistaken.
Well, it's the same person who thinks that the federal government cares about you.
Right. Like they run studies. During COVID, they used lethal doses of hydroxychloroquine to murder people. They killed like a third of the study participants and then said it was dangerous, but they used lethal studies and then they hid their dosage. They hid the dosage when they turned the study in. They tried to hide it. And then they deemed it, do you know why? It was unpatentable. Short chain amino acids are unpatentable because they are naturally occurring in nature. The thing is that what they can patent and what they're working on is the device to inject, right? And the dosing. So they can patent that. So they're trying to figure out all this stuff behind the scenes to figure out how to make money on it. So once again, we're not doctors. I'm not telling you to do this. Any place you have to get them for will say, any place you get them online will say not for human consumption. Yep. So if you do any of this stuff, you're doing it solely at your own risk.
Yep.
But that's not to say that it can't be effective.
Right. As long as you go through a reputable place for them. Because again, like the one I think really glaring, I mean, it's again with anything you're injecting, like you are bypassing some of your body's immune defenses when you inject it straight into your body. So like you want to get it from a reputable place.
And I mean, like I said, we're not doctors, but you guys, where's reputable to give some, because you guys have dealt with it, obviously.
Biotech peptides has always been
Biotech peptides.
.com, .org,
.com, I think.
I've used AmericamResearch.com.
And had success with both of them.
Yep.
Yeah, and I haven't done that. It's the first time I
But obviously I didn't do it on myself. It was on my dog because it's not for animal use or not for human consumption.
I used it on myself. But it's like when you go through, if you go through and you're going to order them, and I'm sure every place is like it, but the Americam, you either have to go through Venmo or Zelle, and they'll send you an email, and they're like, hey, here, send your payment through Zelle or the Venmo, put your order number in there. Don't say that.
Give me your Bitcoin.
Yeah, like it says don't say any of that stuff. So like the first time I ordered it, I'm like, this is so fucking shady. And then I just got an email that was like, hey, your order's complete. And it was nothing. And then they showed up. But again, it's because like everyone who's selling that stuff, like they know that you're going to use it on yourself. But it's not illegal to purchase. You can purchase them, no problem. And they're just trying to like protect themselves. So if you do go to order them, just like the ordering process does seem kind of sketchy at first.
Yeah, biotech was just straightforward.
Just straightforward.
Just put your...
And like I said, we're not telling you to go do this.
Nope.
Right. I mean, you do whatever you want, but
Do your own research.
Back to like the safety piece of it, at least the BPC and the TB. From what I can tell, you would have to inject an uncomfortably large bolus daily to put yourself in harm's way because of the compound. Like, I don't know what the lethal dose is for TB, but you would have to be giant.
To my knowledge, there has never been a negative side effect from the actual peptide. Like, there hasn't been a bunch.
Like, you don't get the side effects like you do with if you're doing Test or Trend or one of those others. Like, those have
the negative stuff that's out there were all black market stuff. So, like, if you got
bad shit, yeah.
Yes. Right, which is part of the problem when you do things and you make things illegal that should not be illegal and they're useful, then you open up a black market when they could just do it.
Yeah, you could, but yeah, like with the peptides, again, I only have experience with BPC and TB, but looking at all the others, like they're not, those two in particular are not anabolic. Like you're not going to take them and get like back knee or gyne, like you're not getting any of that stuff with it. There's, like for me, using what I consider responsible doses has been extremely beneficial. And I wish like years ago when I blew my knees out, like I wish I had just been on a constant drip of BPC and TB. Like recovery would have been so much faster and so much better had I like known about these things. But again, like that's those dosages and what I'm doing, that's what I'm doing based on what I read. Sounds like biotech research has like an actual table, so I would recommend looking at that versus.
I'm pretty sure it was on there. I had one. It was, based on weight and how many micrograms and yada.
But there's like, but the peptide market out there is huge. Like there's what's sermorelin is one of them. Yeah. Which I don't know if that's I don't think it's a semaglutide.
It is.
Is that a semaglutide? Yeah. So you have so the
Semorlin. Well, sorry, so it's not. Semorlin is not a semaglutide, but they have Semorlin and Ipamorlin.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so they're like a weight loss cutting one, but there's like,
and they prescribe those at like a lot of like weight loss places.
Yeah. So I mean, there's the peptide market is super cool. But do your research and don't just like jump in and be like, I'm going to use this.
So epinephrine, right? Epinephrine.
Fucking epi.
Is a penny. Okay? Mm-hmm. But the pin that you have to inject
mechanism
is $100 and whatever dollars.
Through the fire department, the cheapest we could get them for the longest time was $685.
Yep.
For how many?
One.
For an EpiPen?
For one auto inject EpiPen.
So understand that the drug itself is unpatentable, which means the patent's expired and anyone can make it. It's a penny.
And you're taking something that is basically a life-saving device.
Yep.
You can,
and then they go ahead and they can patent the delivery device, and that's what they patent, and then they run the price up.
Now, if you were someone who has an allergy issue, can you buy just like liquid epinephrine and then put it in your own syringe?
Prescribed epinephrine, but generally the epi that gets prescribed in a vial is what EMS services call code epi. So it's epinephrine that's used in a cardiac arrest event. So someone codes and you need to blast them with the paddles and all that. It is at a different dosage per milliliter than like allergy epi. I don't remember which one's more concentrated.
It could be easily done, but again, their job, they're just designed to make billions of dollars.
Right, but the other part is the other piece of it is that I can understand it as a parent. Like you're not going to send your kid to school with
a fucking needle.
Here's a vial. If something happens and you start to choke to death, remember you need to take this much out and inject it.
But this goes into which is like a whole nother conversation of the healthcare / health insurance industry and why it's where it's at now.
But those in particular, I think, are
like insulin. You can throw insulin in this game too.
Right. Those are independent of insurance. Like if insurance could get them for cheaper, they would. Because like on a fully insured plan, you pay me a premium and then I cover the cost for you. It's the drug pharmaceuticals, and if you I can't
it's all about patents.
If you look at Joe Rogan had a guy on who was a pharmaceutical, not a lobbyist, but a vendor. So they're called PBMs. They're pharmacy benefit managers, and they are like the middle guys in between pharmacies and everyone else. And they like just run this huge racket. Like the pharmacy companies are bad enough themselves, but you throw in this PBM in the middle, and they are the ones who can really manipulate and keep prices high. So like you don't get the best bang for your buck on it. Stuff, but it's like the pharmacy industry is just fucking wild.
Yeah, that's wild. Like I said, that's like a whole nother.
Like we have.
That's like a whole nother podcast.
So Pareto Health, the company I work for now, is really, really, really big on cost containment. So like if you go to Pareto Health and you go to get your pharmacy through us, through one of our vendors, you get 100% pass through. So like whatever the maximum discount is that we've negotiated, you get all of that, which is not common elsewhere. But one of the things that we do that we're really working hard to promote is international sourcing. So
like when people used to go to Canada and get their drugs and
so
shit.
you used to order your stuff from Canada, but it's like we can put in special arrangements for. Now most of the time it's only cost effective right now for specialty drugs. So like some of the cancer treatment drugs and some of those things. But you can. There was one that we just saw last week, $28,000 a month for the treatment through local retail, like U.S. retail, through somewhere in Europe from the same company, same warehouse, $480 a month for dosing, just by changing where we source it from. Same compound, same drug, same everything. You're just getting it from somewhere else.
Yeah. But back to kind of the beginning.
Back to cool drugs.
Well, outside of the peptides, if you're not, but also don't skip past, like we talked about, the nutrition to do it. Don't 100%. Skip back the physical therapy aspect of it.
Well, and like you said, you get the sympathetic response.
Yes, you can train if you have an appendage that's injured and you train the opposite appendage, you'll get a sympathetic response.
Some of the research on that is really cool.
In your body.
They've actually shown that if you want the full effect when you're doing single body part exercise, that you need to wait like 2 to 3 minutes before you do the other leg or before you do the other arm, or you won't get, because it's worn out.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know why, because you're not really using it.
I mean,
it's the same thing of, like they talk about you should never have your finger on the trigger when you're carrying a gun.
Right.
Because if you would ever fall, or say you're going down the stairs and you slip, and say you carry your gun in your right hand, you have the finger on the trigger, and you fall, and you go to grab yourself, and you squeeze your left hand, you're probably going to squeeze your right hand at the same time, which entails you'll pull the trigger on the gun.
Yeah.
Because you get your body will it is programmed to basically respond equally on both sides.
Yep.
The old mountain dog, John Meadows, always
R.I.P.
Always talked about doing, like, when you do one arm dumbbell rows, like you should treat both arms as like a separate set.
Yeah.
So you do one arm, and then you wait. If you normally wait 2 or 3 minutes in between, then you wait 2 or 3 minutes before you do your other side.
And it's basically your
unilateral.
It's basically your nervous system.
Yep.
Response
nervous system,
to it.
and like the rest of your body is just like you're still doing that. And there was,
which is also why when you're doing a single arm exercise, you can go heavier single arm because of the neuromuscular response. Like if you're doing a dumbbell row, you might be able to single arm dumbbell row the 70s, but you're probably not going to do both arms at the same time 70s for the same amount.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, your neuromuscular response is different, and that's why, like Matt's saying, you need to rest longer because of what you're doing.
And it's not just CNS fatigue. It's actually...
Yeah, the muscular fatigue, but the CNS of it, because you're exerting more energy.
but it's also that peripheral. There is a peripheral muscular fatigue in the other side, not just your CNS.
I wonder if there's any, because I know that they've done stuff with amputees and like phantom pains.
Yeah. That's weird too, where they can feel their fingers gone, but their finger will get itchy.
Yeah, and their finger will get itchy, but then they'll have like a mirror. And they showed it on a House episode, but then it was based on some real research where they'll have like a mirror. So like people have like, say they lose their hand like mid forearm, and it's just like constant pain and aching. And they'll put this arm here, they'll put the left arm down, they'll put a mirror that reflects off and shows their right arm. They'll look at their right arm's reflection that looks like it's their left arm, and they'll watch that as they squeeze their right hand as hard as they can. It's what they did in the House episode. They'll do that, or they'll move it and then relax, and then the pain goes away on that side, on the left side, because like your brain just sees a hand there. It feels you like mentally wanting to squeeze that as hard as you can, and then it visually sees the release, and it's like, oh, I let go. Okay, cool. And then like the pain goes away.
Huh.
Hey, your body's very
fucking wild.
Very interesting. But yeah, as far as injury goes, outside of the peptides and stuff, but get your protein, get your, like Tanner was out, some of the collagen stuff.
Like prioritizing recovery is like the thing.
Yeah.
Right. Don't
Physical therapy.
We've had, if you're in Omaha, obviously core physical therapy. Mark and Claire have been on here before. But yeah, follow what your PTs are talking about.
We dry needled ourselves before. Like
who?
Myself and my buddy Nolan. He got the dry needling things and bought the book on how to do it. And that's an experience.
Dude, Claire has told me about dry needling herself, like on her groin.
I didn't do that. I just did like my thigh. Like,
dude.
Have you seen him dry needle someone's face?
Mm-mm. I've had my hand dry needled.
One time I had to go, a long time ago, a gal had something with like her jaw, and so she's laying there, and they're just like needling her jaw, and she's like,
yeah, I've had my hand done, like my thumbs. It's an experience.
Yeah, you should dry needle yourself.
Nope.
Weird. It's really weird.
Because what happens when you jump?
Yeah, it's more painful, especially when like you hit like a nerve.
The best is when Mark will be doing it. Like, you feel that's your bone. You want to touch it? You want to touch the needle? That's your bone. No, I don't.
When I tore my hammy, apparently I have like a nerve that's pretty close to the surface back there, and so he's like, oh, don't, and he'd go, and I was like, ah, and he kept hitting, and he's like, man, where's this nerve go? And so he's just like following this nerve up my leg. I'm like, No.
Yeah, I dry needling works tremendously.
Dry needle is awesome.
I tell anybody I recommend dry needling
if I could.
But yeah, as far as that, yeah, follow your PT, follow some nutrition, and get your protein in.
Yeah.
And be honest with yourself what your mentality and your mental status is as far as keep bulking, keep cutting, or just maintain. Like, just be honest, are you actually going to train hard?
I think you got to be a special person. You have to be a special person to not just go back and maintain. Like,
if you will already skip the gym because it's got like a light wind outside and you don't want to drive, you're probably not the guy who should be like, you know what, I'm going to keep bulking. But if you're the person that's like, rain or shine or sleet, whatever, you're at the gym training hard, like, you're probably going to be okay, whatever decision you make. But yeah, be honest with yourself. It's like that meme the other day. The gymnast falls and then it flashes to the fat guy on the couch. Pff, loser. Like, just be honest with yourself and your skill level and your abilities and your dedication to what you're doing. Because, yeah, you will get the sympathetic response, but if you know you're not really going to train, don't eat like a fucking fat asshole.
Unless you just want to become a fat asshole.
Yeah, if you want to be a fat asshole, I mean, it's fine. It's whatever you want to do, so it's fine. But I think we gave some good advice there because we're not doctors.
Right.
We are not peptide prescriptionists. That's a good word.
Totally made up, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah. We can make up our own stuff. It's our podcast.
Yeah.
That's what you should do for your side hustle. Make a compounding pharmacy.
Oh, I thought you meant make up words.
That too.
I've been crushing that.
But if you did a compounding pharmacy out of the gym.
I do know a pharmacist.
There we go.
Yeah, and she used to work at a compounding pharmacy.
Perfect. I know someone who can write scripts.
I do too.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I know someone who could buy drugs.
Legal ones, obviously.
If you have any client.
Yeah. But yeah, everyone, treat your injuries correctly. do all the right steps so you can heal up right, and do your PT. I have a client of mine who, she was younger, got hurt, and did not do her PT, and she regrets it every fucking day of her life that she's older now, that she didn't do it all the way. I don't care if you're 7 years old or you're 70 years old. You have to keep moving. What did Claire say in their podcast? Motion is lotion.
Oh,
for the joints. You got to keep moving. Sitting around is not
motion.
Sitting around does not help.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to keep the joints moving. So, but with that, always try to be a little less shitty every day.
I wore that shirt again on a bunch of work calls yesterday.
Yeah.
Everyone appreciated it.
They should. Because it doesn't matter. It's not even just about lifting.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, share, follow. Follow our Instagram page. Follow our Facebook page. I think we're like kind of shadow banned.
Thanks, Tanner.
No, well, we had it before that too. I think we're a little shadow banned.
I mean,
It's probably my fault. I'm sorry, guys.
No, yeah. But I think there's a little bit of that going on.
they took this, like, they go through the script.
Yeah.
The transcript and
This motherfucker again.
I just see Tanner's tagged and they're like, bam.
So if you like us, share it out there.
Fucking guy.
Maybe we should figure out some kind of contest. Whoever shares it the most gets something. We'll see. We're probably shadow banned. Nobody's going to hear this part anyway.
Sure.
But like, subscribe, share, follow. We appreciate you guys listening to our babblings. And we'll see you next time.